Navigating complex feelings and emotions is the number one challenge that mamas I work with face all the time, and they impact literally every aspect of your life, which is why today I'll be sharing with you 4 practical steps on how to manage your emotions in difficult times. Hey, Wild Mamas and friends, welcome back to Wild Mama TV. I am Tiff, and ooh, child, we are living in unprecedented times. And in moments like this, our feelings and emotions can feel ginormous and overwhelming, like a big tidal wave that's about to pick you up and slam you if you do not get out of the way. And such big emotions can cause so much anxiety and stress, which does not help keep you healthy, grounded, and clear, when obviously that's exactly what you need right now. But there's hope, my beautiful wild mamas. And I want all of us mamas to rise up stronger and wiser and more aware of ourselves, and with greater skill to navigate all of the complexities of our inner world and this difficult and challenging time through this global pandemic and everything that's just happening in the world. These are the moments in our lives when we can build incredible resilience. And I want you to know that you do have the capacity to navigate even the biggest emotions, no matter how you feel on any given day. All right, are you ready for the 4 steps on how to manage your emotions in difficult times? All right, let's go. I got my marker and my pen so I can write some things down for you. So first, I'm gonna name all 4 steps on how to manage your emotions in difficult times, and then I'm gonna go through each one so that you can understand each one and what it entails, so that you can practice it on your own. All right, so step 1 is name your feelings. Name your feelings. Step 2 is welcome your feelings with intention. Welcome your feelings with intention. Step 3 is listen to and dialogue with your feelings, aka talk to yourself, boo. Listen to and dialogue with your feelings. I don't even know if you can read it, but hey, I tried. And step number 4 is find resolution and take imperfect action. As you will hear probably so much, you'll hear from me, imperfect action is the way to go, because we ain't trying to be perfect, but we are trying to take imperfect action, because some action, imperfect action, is better than no action. Okay, so let's get into each step. So step 1 is name your feelings. And this is a simple yet very, very powerful step in starting to manage your emotions. I would say that I know all of us have feelings and emotions, but not all of us can adequately describe what it is we're feeling, or be able to specifically name what we're feeling. All our feelings are directly related to what we need and impacts our behavior. So to name your feelings, my suggestion would be to Google feelings list. You just put the word feelings list into Google, and see what comes up, and see the different kinds of lists that they have for the kinds of feelings that you could be experiencing at any moment in your life. I personally love to reference Nonviolent Communication. It's one of my favorite books, but in this book they have a feelings list, and they break it up by feelings that you might be experiencing when your needs are not being met, and then feelings that you might be experiencing when your needs are being met. So I really like that distinction. And obviously this, book doesn't have all the feelings, but I do like the ones that they do put in here. And I just like it for easy reference because it's on my shelf, and I have it. But there's also something from the Gottman Institute called a feelings wheel. And so that's something that you might want to look up, and I can link to the one that I saw below. And also there's a decolonizing nonviolent communication kind of booklet or journal that you can also find online and order, and that has a trauma-informed viewpoint on feelings and, you know, overall nonviolent communication. And so if you're looking for something that's a little bit more trauma informed, I would look at that. I know that they're not quite shipping right now, I think, just because of the pandemic, but you can, I think you can pre-order or back order or something, and eventually get that book. I haven't yet got it, but I know that other mamas that have, and I do plan to order it for myself at some point. So the reason why naming feelings is so important is because if you don't clearly identify the feeling that you're feeling, you can't really identify the problem or the underlying issue. And if you can't identify the problem or the feeling, you can't ever find a solution. So that's why this is so important. It might seem so extremely simple or simplistic, but trust me that it's not, and it's really only the first step in the 4-step process that I'm going to take you through in this call, but also over the next month. But please don't skip over this step because it is very, very, very important, and you might find that you are trying to assume what you're feeling without looking at a list. But I would just take the time, even just 5 minutes, to look at an actual list and highlight or write down in a journal or notebook what feelings kind of resonate with you from that list. So please start naming your feelings, my friends. It is not something to be overlooked. All right, so step 2 is to welcome those feelings with intention. So after you've already named, any of the feelings that you were experiencing, you might already feel like so much lighter, which I know I do. After I name some feelings, I'm like, ooh, okay, I have a little bit of clarity of like what's really going on. But it's really important not to stop there. So we're moving to step 2, which is welcoming your feelings with intention. So naming your emotions is just one step in the full process of managing your emotions. They give you direction on like where to look and where to find out what's really going on. But once you find out, some direction, some guidance on where to look, you gotta go look. You gotta go figure it out. And so that's why we're moving into now learning how to actually listen to and discover what those feelings and what wisdom is trying to be shared with you. So when I say welcome your feelings with intention, what I'm saying is that you have to be intentional about how you're going to engage with your feelings and emotions. I mean, let's be real. Big feelings and emotions can be extremely intimidating. And so it can be scary kind of thinking about facing those emotions and finding out what's really going on. I am well aware of that, and I understand that that is not so easy. Even though I might be making it seem like it's easy, it's not easy. I said practical steps to manage your emotions. I didn't say easy steps to manage your emotions. So I understand that this can be really hard and a struggle, but I want you to know that you do have control over the situation, and you can do this in a way that works for you. So this is not something that you necessarily want to be careless with. This is something that you really want to be intentional about. You don't need to overthink it, but you want to be intentional and know what it is that you truly desire and want out of this. And so then you can take full advantage of everything that's going to emerge. And this really is the deep work. All right, so to engage in this step, I have a few questions, reflection questions that you can kind of ask yourself in order to prepare yourself to welcome feelings with intention. So here's the first question. When can I set aside uninterrupted time to check in with each of my feelings I listed? 2, what would I like that time to look like? Do I want candles, music, incense? It could be really anything. Does it need to be daylight, nighttime, whatever it is you want? Like right now I'm looking out at the ocean and I can see a volcano and a mountain. It's daytime. It's just a beautiful time to just be. And usually if it were me, I would be at the ocean doing some reflection, or my preference is to be back there in my cozy corner in the early mornings. So just know where you want to be and what you want that time to look like. So number 3 is, how much time would I like to spend reflecting? You might only have 15 minutes, 10 minutes, you might want an hour, you might want a couple hours, but just be specific and clear. Number 4 is, where would you like to reflect? So outside, in my room with the door closed, my backyard. So I kind of already mentioned this. I guess the what and the where are kind of similar, but for me, I already expressed where I would want to do it. But for you, it might be, since you're in quarantine, it might be that I just want to be in my room with the door shut. For me, in Hawaii, I'm allowed to be outside, and so I like to be outside. or I like to be, getting my cozy corn in the early morning. Number 5, how would you like to be treated during this vulnerable process? So I think that this is something that is so important, and sometimes we forget that we actually have a choice in how we engage with our feelings and how we treat ourselves and how our feelings treat us. So many of us are conditioned to speak to ourselves in a really harsh and mean way. Like, I gotta tell y'all, mamas can be some of the meanest people to themselves, and it breaks my heart every time I see it. But I want you to know that it doesn't have to be that way, and that you can choose to say, hey, I'm going to engage with these really vulnerable, hard emotions and feelings because I know I need to, but we're not going to be like hating on each other today. We're not going to be yelling. We're not going to be judgmental. We're not going to be criticizing. Maybe you have like your mother's voice in your head, or your father's voice, or somebody's voice in your head that always comes up when a certain feeling emerges. We're going to intentionally say, not today, boo. Not today. So I think it's just really important for you to know that you have that ability and you have that power and permission to tell feelings how you want it to go down. So treat your feelings like your friends, and don't be afraid to set boundaries. So, as weird as it might seem, I want you to set the stage for this meeting like you would any other really important conversation that you were having with a loved one or a friend or a partner. Set the tone and be real about what you want and what you need for this conversation to go the way that you would like it. It doesn't mean that you're trying to assume what's going to emerge or assume what's going to come up for you, but I want you to just be intentional about how you would like to handle this conversation, or this dialogue, or this reflection with yourself, your feelings, and your emotions. And if you're new to this, I would just recommend trying to do just 15 minutes a day. And you don't have to do it every day. You can do it a couple times a week. You can just do it one day a week. But just try starting with 15 minutes. I think that there is a misconception that you need a lot of time to do this work, and it's really just not true. A couple minutes can go a long way if you're fully focused and uninterrupted. And so I just want to encourage you not to get blocked or hindered by thinking you need all the time in the world. Just start with, where can I find 15 minutes of uninterrupted time so that I can be intentional about how I engage with my feelings and emotions. All right, y'all. So if you're feeling what I'm feeling and you're excited and committed to naming your feelings and welcoming your feelings with intention, give me a hells yeah in the comments to let me know that you are ready to go. All right, let's keep it going, y'all. Okay, so step number 3 is to listen to and dialogue with your feelings, aka talk to yourself, boo. Okay, so for each feeling and emotion that you named, in step 1, what I want you to do is I want you to write down the feeling in your journal, and then give each feeling the floor, one by one. Give it space to speak and to express whatever it wants to say. So what I do is I have my favorite journal, where I write all my personal things, visions, dreams, and about my feelings. And what I do is I literally just write out all of my feelings. I would show you, but I write so tiny that it would be impossible for you to read. But I basically name the feelings. So I had 4 feelings that I'll be sharing in another video with you. But I name all the feelings, and then I just go one by one by one, and I let that feeling speak. And I give it the full floor to say and express whatever it wants to express. And the important thing to consider is, again, no judgment. This is about listening. So the way that you would want to be listened to by someone else or a friend if you were expressing very vulnerable and personal things, I want you to listen to your feelings with a listening, kind of graceful attitude and not judgment. So if you find yourself judging yourself, please just stop and try to take a few steps back and remind yourself that this is a safe space for you to express. Because if those feelings are being honest and expressing themselves, you don't want to then slam them with judgment, criticism, and hate. right? So try to be kind to yourself and try to be kind to your feeling. Once that one feeling has spoken and you feel like it has fully expressed itself, it could be, small, it could be really a lot. But when you feel like it's done, I want you to affirm or like respond to the feeling. So this is the part that might seem a little strange for you if you've never done this before. But again, just treat your feelings like your friend, and just dialogue back and forth as you would a friend who just shared something like really vulnerable and personal with you. So what I do is I literally will affirm my feelings, and kind of maybe ask a probing question, or ask to dig deeper, but whatever it is, I just dialogue and we go back and forth, and see what else wants to be said. So this really is a conversation, and this is the active both listening and dialogue that you need to have with your feelings. So don't put any pressure to hurry up. Try to practice as much patience, but honestly, again, this doesn't have to take forever. Some of my feelings that I have written down here were literally just a couple sentences, while others were like 15 sentences or like paragraphs, and sometimes you just don't know what feelings are going to express to you. So be patient, because the gold is in the listening, and listening does take practice. So be patient with yourself, be patient with your feelings, and try not to rush the process. Your feelings are a compass, a mirror, and a guide. They possess so much wisdom. They're like gold. But to get that gold, you really have to truly listen, and listening, requires a lot of patience. So take your time. And just as a reminder, you don't need all the hours in the world to go through this process. Again, 15 minutes consistently across a few days or weeks or whatnot is so much better than doing absolutely nothing, because you can't find a billion hours to show up in the way that you think you need to show up to do this level of deep work. And if you're feeling like, damn, Tiff, okay, I hear that 15 minutes is like all I need, but I'm struggling to even get 15 minutes to myself in my life. If you're feeling overwhelmed by that, like, do not worry, and just be sure to subscribe, because next week I'm going to be talking about that exact thing with my very good friend, Nicole Wu. We're going to be talking about how to find quiet time with kids around. So if that's something that you're kind of thinking about or worried about, don't worry, I got you, boo. Just subscribe and check it out next week. All right, so for step number 4, it's all about finding resolution and taking imperfect action. And again, I will emphasize imperfect action, not perfect action. Okay, so as Wild Mamas, our power isn't just in our ability to do deep reflection, it's also in our ability to take action, imperfect action. It's in our ability to move and find resolution in our personal discoveries of ourselves, so that we can be the best versions of ourselves and actually know what to do with the things that we've learned to be better people. So I want you to be the best version of yourself. And so I believe that the only way to do that is to not only reflect and build that level of self-awareness, but to also take action. We have so much power in our movement, in our bodies. So let's get moving together. All right, so now that we got a little movement in our bodies, with a little dance break, we want to now engage in the first part of step 4, which is finding resolution. And so we do this by asking just some very simple reflection questions. So I'm going to read off these questions for you so that you can engage in this kind of reflection later on. So if you have a pen or paper, or if you haven't already been writing notes, I recommend that you get a pen and paper so that you can write these questions down. So the first question is, what have I learned? And the second question is, what am I most surprised by? The third is, what are my biggest takeaways from naming and dialoguing with my feelings? And the fourth question is, what have I resolved within myself as a result of this process? And the second part of this step 4 is about action, which is one of my favorite words, imperfect action. So what action are you going to take? And what are you going to do differently as a result of everything that you've learned, right? Like, you can't just learn some shit and do the dang thing, but then not do anything about it. That ain't how we roll as wild mamas, okay? So some prompts that you can use are, given what I learned about X, I will ... Given my main takeaway about X, one change I'll be making is ... By naming and dialoguing with my feelings, I discovered that I was feeling X because of Y. This helped me realize that I need Z. And so I will be having a conversation about what I need and having those needs met, maybe with a partner or a friend, or maybe with yourself. So that is the second part of step 4. Yay! Okay, so let's recap the 4 steps on managing your emotions in difficult times. So step 1, again, was name your feelings. Step 2 was welcome your feelings with intention. Step 3 is listen to and dialogue with your feelings, aka talk to yourself, and no, that's not crazy. And step 4 is find resolution and take imperfect action. Okay, so after learning about all these 4 steps and everything that they entail, you might be feeling like, great, Tiff, this is awesome, but where do I start? It seems like 4 steps is so simple, but it was also a lot, and I know y'all, don't worry. So where do I actually start? Okay, so even though I shared with you the 4 steps in this video, all I want you to do this week and what I want you to focus on is just do step 1. Just simply do step 1. Just name your feelings, okay? So you learned about step 1, name your feelings, go do it. Find 5 or 10 minutes to Google the feelings list, or if you have Nonviolent Communication, the book, go back to that book and look at the list. Look at the Gottman Institute's Feelings Wheel, or look up the Decolonizing Nonviolent Communication journal and book with their trauma-informed list on feelings, which you could probably actually just Google Decolonizing NVC feelings list and see if something comes up. I actually haven't Googled that. Or you can do like maybe trauma-informed feelings list and see if something comes up. I'm sure there's something that exists out there for that. But do the dang thing. Just name your feelings this week and be proud of that one accomplishment, because all of the next following month, I'm going to be focused on helping you move through all the 4 steps in different ways. And so don't worry if you can't move through all 4 steps in just 1 week. It is a lot, and it might be really new for you. And obviously there's a lot going on. So just focus on step 1, and then be sure to subscribe and mark your calendar and be back here next Tuesday, where I'm going to share with you how to find time to engage in deep reflection, even if your kids are at home. And to help you, continue to move forward in this process, I created a cheat sheet of all 4 steps for you that you can download for free. So that is linked below in the description. And so I encourage you to download it so that you can follow along and remember all the steps, and again, take action. I'm all about accountability. So I don't want you here listening to this video and, hoorahing and agreeing, but not taking action. So I encourage you to go and download that free cheat sheet so that you can know all the 4 steps and follow along as we go through each one in detail in the next few weeks. And after you've done this first step of naming your feelings, I want you to go and join me on my blog, which is linked below. And I want you to come and tell me what feelings you named. What did you discover in terms of what you were feeling based on the feelings list? And then I also want you to tell me what's one main takeaway that you got out of this video today. All right, mamas. Well, thank you so much for joining me in today's video. I really hope that you found it useful and helpful and encouraging. I want to remind you to subscribe to my channel and make sure to put on your calendar to join me here again next Tuesday because I'm going to be teaching you how to find time to find quiet time to do some deep reflection, even if your kids are at home. So in the meantime, check out this video right here that talks all about your intuition, which is something that we absolutely need to be activating in this time as we're engaging with our feelings and emotions. So peace, wild mamas, and I'll see you next week.